everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. It's Nadia and today we're going to be doing our August bullet journal setup, so feel free to take your journal and plan with me. For this bullet journal setup, I'm going to be using my Archer and Olive notebook in the A5 size. I'm actually super impressed with this bullet journal because I started using this since August of last year, so it's been over a full year that I'm using this exact bullet journal, so it has a lot of memories. And I'm also going to be using my very first stickers that I created the other day. I drew everything on Procreate and I printed them out on sticker paper. I'm super happy with how they turned out and I really can't wait to show you guys how I use these stickers in my August bullet journal setup. For the cover page, I really wanted to be minimalist and elegant, so I wanted to draw these two hands and I wanted to have the crystals in the middle of the hands. Because drawing hands is one of the things that I struggle with the most, I wanted to do the outlines in pencil first, and then once I got the proportions right, that's when I decided to trace everything with my Sakura Pigma Micron pens. So this is a really great tip for any of you that is really scared in drawing in your bullet journal because you don't want to make any mistakes. Just know that you can always do your sketches in pencil first and then you can go along with your pens once you're happy with the result. And I find that with myself, when I start outlining everything in pencil first, it really does take away a lot of the fear and anxiety of starting in your bullet journal. So I'm gonna dedicate the page next to the cover page for a quote, and I find that they just look really nice next to each other, so I really love putting a quote page next to my cover page. And here I'm gonna be drawing a cluster of crystals using my brush pens, and so this is definitely something that you can also recreate in your bullet journal if you also want to go with a crystal theme. So what I wanted to do is just use this purple color and add a little bit of highlights with a lighter pink color, and then I just wanted to do all of the outlines in white and give it a little bit of sparkles with the white pen as well. You can also go back in some of the sides of the crystal with the purple pen just to give it a little bit more depth, because some sides of the crystal is going to be darker and some parts are going to be lighter. And for the actual quote, I decided to go with the saying, "Life is always rocky when you're a gem." I thought that this was so fitting with the theme and also really empowering and encouraging at the same time. After the quote and cover page, I decided to do my monthly calendar page, and this was actually something that I only brought back in my bullet journal since last month in July, but I really enjoyed having it in my bullet journal again. When I first started bullet journaling, I initially saved this calendar for any upcoming event, but I noticed that I wasn't looking at my bullet journal for future events. That's typically something that I refer to my phone to, so I stopped creating it in my bullet journal because it didn't really serve a purpose for me. But since last month in July, I found a new purpose for the calendar page in my bullet journal. Instead of using it for keeping track of future events, I decided to use this calendar page to document any special days that happened during the month. And it was definitely one of my favorite pages in my July bullet journal setup, so I definitely want to bring it back for the month of August. And to give this calendar setup in my bullet journal a pop, I really wanted to add a beautiful gradient calligraphy to the title. And it's actually really easy to recreate. All you want to do is choose two colors that are very similar to each other. And then you can use the darker color to add some shading at the bottom to create a gradient effect. You can also outline it in black and give it a little bit of a drop shadow in gray. And you can also add some extra highlights with a white pen to really give it more of that gradient pop. Then I'm just gonna decorate the actual calendar itself. I'm gonna be using the same purple color to add a little circle in each square and then just write the date on top of it. And before I decorate my bullet journal with my stickers, I actually wanted to show you guys that this was initially a mistake. So because this was my first time printing on a sticker paper, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And as you could see here, I made the pictures way too big and a lot of the crystals at the bottom actually got cut out. And I was even just about to throw out the stickers at the bottom. I thought I wasn't gonna use them at all, but they ended up being the perfect stickers for me to decorate my bullet journal because it just looks like they are popping out of the calendar. And I also decided to decorate the bottom right of the page with another sticker that I drew, and it's going to be a bottle with some purple fluffy clouds inside. And if you have some extra space next to your calendar in your bullet journal, there's a lot of different things that you could do with this. So you can either decide to draw even more and fill it with more designs, or you can even turn it into a Dutch door, or in this case, I'm actually going to turn it into some boxes where I can write down some notes and highlights. You can also add a quote here instead if that's something that you prefer too. And let me know in the comments down below if you like to keep a calendar page in your bullet journal and what you like to include in it as well. The next page that we're going to create in our August bullet journal setup is going to be a habit tracker. And this is also another page that I stopped creating in my bullet journal for a while. And it's because at the beginning of my bullet journal journey, when I first created a habit tracker, it was actually pretty overwhelming to look at all of these habits that I need to do every single day. And I just kind of felt that it was pretty unrealistic for myself. But what I wanted to do with this habit tracker page is not so much have the expectation that I need to do all of these things every single day, but it's really more just a tracker for myself to keep in mind when was the last time that I did a certain habit or a certain task. So for example, some things that I really want to keep in mind is digital art and calligraphy. It's something that I want to monitor to see when was the last time that I practiced it, because I don't want to go too many days without practicing it. So if you also feel like a habit tracker is a little bit overwhelming, this could be another variation for yourself as well. And the setup is not really different from a typical habit tracker. All I wanted to do here is create a little calendar layout, and then whenever I do a certain habit for that day, I can color in the square with the purple color to match the theme. I also wanted to keep the same gradient effect with the header, and so I did that here as well, using the same colors to create the gradient. And it's actually kind of funny because when I had this setup in my mind, I really wanted to go for a more minimalistic vibe, but it's so hard for me to know when to stop adding stuff in my bullet journal. And now with this habit tracker page, I definitely feel like I added way too much stuff to it. There's a really powerful quote that I really like, and it goes, "Perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away." It's a quote from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and this is definitely a quote that I try to remind myself so often when it comes to my creative work, but it's so hard to actually put into practice. And in my head, all I was thinking was about that meme of, how it started and how it's going. So my cover page, yeah, I try to be minimalistic, but then in my habit tracker, I definitely put a little bit too much to my liking here. But anyways, moving on to the next page, I really like to put a 1 line a day page next to my mindfulness tracker. It's super easy to set up. I'm just gonna dedicate 1 line for each day of the month. I'm gonna highlight the weekends as well and put another sticker to make it match the overall purple crystal theme. Another page that I really love to create in all of my monthly bullet journal setups is my monthly review page. I find this really helpful to sit down at the end of the month and really just reflect on anything good that has happened or anything that you want to change moving forward. Especially right now, I feel like we live in such a fast-paced life that we forget to kind of just sit down and enjoy the journey. So this is something that has been really helpful for myself to practice mindfulness and being present and just being grateful for any of the highlights that has happened in the previous month. I also added a section for 3 categories that I really want to reflect on the most right now. And for me, that's going to be my work, YouTube journey, and also just my personal life as well. And of course, you can definitely change this to whatever fits your lifestyle as well. On the page next to it, I'm just gonna create August Memories 2021, and I'm gonna fill up the rest of the page throughout the month whenever there's any highlights that I want to capture in this page. So I'm gonna fill up the rest of the page with some little doodles or quotes to really mark any of those highlighted memories. And again, this is one of those pages that is so simple for me to create, but it ends up being one of the most impactful in my bullet journal. So I hope you guys enjoyed this August bullet journal setup with the purple crystal theme. Let me know in the comments down below what your theme is for your August bullet journal. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're curious to know what my weekly spreads look like, currently I just use my work bullet journal for my weekly spread, so definitely check out my work weekly spreads layout setup for more ideas as well. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you in another one of my videos.